Okay, hi everybody. Welcome to Phil and Dave's Excellent Adventures. Just Dave here. Today I'm talking about the movie Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. This is going to be a spoiler review, so if you are concerned about spoilers, I suggest you go and watch the movie first before you watch this review. So, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania is the third movie in the Ant-Man series, the 31st, I think, movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe overall. It's about Scott Lang and his daughter and his girlfriend's dad and mom. They go into the quantum realm because they had to fight Kang, I guess. I don't know. So anyway, as far as what I liked about the movie overall, I thought the cast was great. Paul Rudd is always good. He's always very charming and very amicable, and I always enjoy. Very affable is what I was looking for. Always good. I love Paul Rudd. Evangeline Lilly was good in this. She's a stupid, terrible person in real life, but her acting was fine in this. Michael Douglas, I thought was pretty good in this. I like Michelle Pfeiffer a lot. Jonathan Majors as Kang, I thought was great. I liked him a lot. And I liked Kathryn Newton as the daughter. They replaced the actress who played her in the first two. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's an age thing or something, but I thought her performance was quite good as well. I did like as well Katy O'Brian as Jentorra and William Jackson Harper as Quaz. I thought they were both good. I wish we would have seen more of them. But yeah, great. I like William Jackson Harper from The Good Place, so it was good to see him in something else. I thought the opening was good. I'd already seen it in the trailer. Basically, Scott Lang is kind of talking about his life and what he's been up to since the last couple movies, and he's written a book and all of that. So we saw that. I liked it. It was kind of funny, kind of charming. Like, okay, they call him Spider-Man instead of Ant-Man. Haha, I like it. Good stuff. I like that when they get to the quantum realm, they reveal they have like these buildings that are living, which was kind of cool. And at some point, the living buildings actually come up later in the plot to help them out. I like that. I like kind of that weird idea, and that kind of stuff was cool. I really like Kang's costume in this. I think all the costumes overall looked pretty cool. I noticed they put the little thing in the center of Scott's chest like he has in the comics, so that's cool. But Kang's costume in particular, I thought looked really cool. The way that the light hit it while he was wearing it, and it looked more or less exactly like the comics, or very similar to the comics from what I remember. So I liked it. That was a cool costume. I also sort of liked MODOK's helmet. The design when he actually had the helmet visor down, that looks pretty cool. Not bad at all, especially considering MODOK's a goofy character, and in live action, he's going to look weird no matter what you do. And I thought that was a decent way to do it. I thought the ending was pretty good. Again, it was like a bookend kind of thing with the beginning, where again he's walking along, kind of talking about his life and everything else, and then kind of mentions like, is it over, or do we have to be worried, or not? Like what? Nah, it's probably fine. I kind of like that. That was okay. And I did like the end titles. They do this thing at the end where they show it's Ant-Man, and then they show Quantumania, and I didn't realize until that point that Ant-Man is in Quantumania, and I really like the fact that like there's two letters before the ant, there's one letter in between, there's two letters after the man, and I'm like, wow, something about that I like words, and I like that kind of anagram type stuff. So I'm like, oh, cool. I didn't catch that before, and so I like the way that they worked that out. That worked out nicely. Good. As far as what I didn't like about it, I think one of my biggest issues was with this movie was the color palette and the color saturation. People have talked about this for Marvel movies for a long, long time, how their blacks aren't very black, and a lot of times their palettes are kind of mottled and kind of muddled, and they look the same. There's a lot of sort of grayness and a lot of brownness in a lot of the movies. Didn't really notice. It didn't bother me too much in any of the previous movies, but in this movie in particular, I noticed it's just the quantum realm is very brown. It's very like tan and brown and sandy, which nothing wrong with that. There was times you were kind of going for like a desert kind of look, so that made sense. But it just seemed like, yeah, it was just a lot of brown, or they do like the orange and blue, which is kind of like the sci-fi colors. They've been for like 20 years now. I forget who started it, Titan AE or something maybe, but for whatever reason, for the last 20 years now, everything sci-fi always has to have this like blue or orange and like a kind of cyan or turquoise kind of color. I don't know why they always do it. They're cool colors, but I really wanted to see more. I wanted to see some greens in there, some purples, some yellows, some crazy stuff. I really wanted to see this vast sort of impressive psychedelic kind of crazy world, and we just got like kind of a boring looking world that just looked like either a soundstage or just a random desert that they found somewhere to film in. I was just not very impressed with the visual look of the quantum realm at all. Like I said, I thought the quantum realm was pretty boring. I think maybe just my expectations were a little too high, both with this and Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. In my head, I imagined this kind of crazy, psychedelic, trippy, like insane experience. And instead, we just got kind of a boring, kind of gray brown experience. And I didn't like that much. I really felt like we needed more time with the people there in the quantum realm. I think if they would have spent a little bit more time getting us to know these characters, like the aforementioned Gentora or Quaz, I would have liked him a lot more. Or the guy with the holes. Really, if they would just had one scene of them kind of hanging out and drinking and having a good time and kind of getting to know each other and sort of endearing these characters to us, I think it would have been a lot more effective as a movie. There are parts, especially early on in the movie, where they just look like actors on a green screen. I think it's partially because Cassie, the character, is just wearing like jeans and a t-shirt, and also Michael Douglas and Janet Van Dyne are also wearing just regular clothes. So when we see them, at least to me, they just look like regular actors just on a sound stage, just like with CG around them. So I think maybe if they would have put them in like costumes, superhero costumes, they would have fit in the world a little more and wouldn't have looked so out of place to me. I didn't love Bill Murray's cameo. I was a big Bill Murray fan for a long time. I know recently there's been some sort of controversy. His whole life has been inappropriate with women, and recently got called out for that. And this might be the last thing we see him in for a while. And honestly, we didn't need him in this. He's only in it for like one brief scene, and if they would have cut that scene, I don't think it would have really changed the story much at all. Or if they would have recast with Ted Danson or another actor around the same age, with a similar kind of pedigree, it wouldn't have changed anything. So I don't really get the point of that or his character. Again, that scene I think could have been better off just having them hang out with the people there and getting to know those people a little bit better. I had a lot of questions about this movie. Now, maybe I missed them. Maybe they were answered in previous films. Admittedly, at some point, I did start to kind of doze off a little bit because I was kind of bored during this movie. But my questions are, why didn't Janet tell them about the quantum realm earlier? Now, I realize sometimes for movies, you got to do this. You got to set up this, oh, no, or they just didn't have that in place with the second movie. So they didn't really, fine. But it seems like they could have come with a better reason, story-wise, to explain why she didn't tell them about what was going on in the quantum realm at all. Why didn't she tell them about Kang? Again, if this is someone who is a threat to the entire multiverse, I think maybe you wanted to mention it to somebody. I don't know. I mean, who knows? I'm not a superhero, but it seems like that would be the thing you would want to do. You would want to mention to the people who could protect the world from the person who's trying to attack the world. Okay, fine. They didn't have this in place when they were making the second movie. Okay. Where did all of these people come from in the quantum realm? Did they explain that and I missed it? I don't, because she said that she was alone for a while and then she met Kang and then they were buddies. And then, I don't know, maybe they had a romantic relationship. They didn't really expand on that. And then he tried to get free. She stopped him and then she ran away. And then at some point, Bill Murray showed up. And then at some point she had a relationship with Bill Murray. And then now there's like hundreds or thousands of life forms there. Are they the offspring of her and Bill Murray? Are they the offspring of her and Kang? I feel like the movie had to explain this, and I just missed it. Because otherwise, this movie is terrible if they didn't explain that. Because why are these people here? What's going on? I'm just very lost by that. So I'm going to assume that I'm dumb and I didn't get it because I can't believe a $200 million movie would have such a giant plot hole in there. So if somebody caught that and can explain it to me, let me know because it just seems stupid to me. Again, why was everyone here like bipedal? They were all basically just people. There was the broccoli head guy, okay, but he was basically just a person. There was the guy who wanted the holes. I guess he was a little different, but again, man, this was a really cool opportunity to have all these crazy, different, exotic kind of species of creatures and everything else. And they were like, that guy's got broccoli head. Okay, so it just didn't seem very creative. And I mean, again, this is a minor thing for me. I'm going to dismiss it, but how are they all breathing? They're smaller than oxygen molecules. Other people have pointed that out. I'm willing to suspend my disbelief for the sake of the movie. If you're going to watch Star Wars movies and people are breathing on different planets there and the gravity's all the same, okay, fine. Let's just pretend like it all makes sense for some reason. But yeah, I don't know. Again, it would have been nice if they could have somehow explained that, did something, and maybe they did. Maybe I missed it. Another issue I have with this movie is it felt like they had a lot of payoffs, but they didn't set them up properly. There's at least two that I remember that I'm like, okay, that could have been a decent payoff if you would have actually taken the time to set it up. So the one is the holes guy. I forget his name, but he at some point is like, oh, if you drink me, then you can understand us. And then he starts asking about what it's like to have holes. And then later he gets shot a bunch. He gets some holes. He goes, no, I have holes. And he's super stoked about it. It almost worked, but the reason it didn't work for me was it was just kind of a quick little throwaway line for this guy. I didn't understand that this was like a major character arc for him. And if you would have just one more time, just been like, he mentioned the whole thing again. And then someone goes, what's with you in the holes? And he goes, I just wish I had holes. And then he gets the holes. Hey, there you go. Everyone's happy. But they skipped a step there and just had him say this quick throwaway line about having holes. And then it just didn't quite feel earned enough to me. And a similar thing with MODOK, where MODOK is just kind of being a bad guy. And then at some point, Cassie's like, hey, why are you being such a bad guy? And he's like, I don't know what to do. And then she's like, well, just don't be a dick. And he's like, but I am a dick. And then she's like, it's never too late to not. Again, that could have been funny. I feel like they overdid it a little bit, just because you get a little desensitized to it or something. I think if you say dick too much, but yeah, I just feel like, and then he's like, well, at least I died an Avenger. Again, it could have been funny if earlier they would have mentioned that he wanted to be an Avenger, or that he somehow thought Scott had the ability to make people Avenger. Like, it's so frustrating because it's almost good. It's almost funny. It's just you didn't do the homework to set it up properly to have the satisfying payoff that you need. I didn't understand that. I didn't love MODOK. Like I said, I actually liked the design with the helmet down, with the visor down. I'm like, okay, it's fine, it works. But once they lift it up, yeah, he looks a little goofy. I mean, what are you going to do? MODOK is a big floating head. He's going to look goofy. There's not much you can do about it. But I feel like in some way, the face just wasn't expressive enough, especially in like the eyebrows kind of area and the upper part of the head. I feel like that part didn't really move at all when he was talking. And so that just made it look like they took an actor's face and stretched it out and CGI stuck it onto a CGI body, which is what they did. So yeah, I feel like MODOK could have looked a little bit better. Just a little bit more expressive in the eyes and the eyebrows, I think would have helped out a lot. Or just figure out some way to change his appearance a little bit to make him a little less goofy, but still. I was a little confused as to what Kang's powers are. I'm a comic book reader. I know comics somewhat, but I'm not a huge fan of Kang the Conqueror, and I don't know much about him other than he travels through time. And so I guess I was a little confused as to like, I know he can travel through time and he can do all that kind of stuff, but then like there's parts where they're like shooting stuff at him and he's able to like redirect it around him and stuff. So like, is that part of his time manipulation? Or does he have some sort of probability-based powers? Or is that, I think that's because of his suit. Because at some point she's like, oh, he got his suit back. So I guess it's his suit that gives him the powers. But then I guess my question is, if this guy is so powerful because of his suit, then just take off his suit. He's just like a regular guy. He's got a time machine and a suit that gives him special powers. Like, I feel like he does have more powers. I just don't know what they are. Maybe. I don't know. I found that some of the fight scenes were just kind of shaky and hard to follow. It's one of my biggest pet peeves when it comes to fight scenes is they do this thing a lot where they do the handheld kind of shaky cam thing to kind of build up the suspense and make you kind of feel like you're in the moment. And I hate that. Just show me what you want to show me. Just frame the shot. You've got subjects in the shot that the audience should be focusing on. You put those subjects in the center of the shot. It's really not that complicated. I know it's a stylistic choice, and I don't think these people are incompetent, but to me personally, it makes the movie very difficult to follow and unentertaining. Just set the camera a decent distance from the actors and stop moving it around. It's not that complicated. I didn't really understand Scott and Hope's relationship in this. I just assumed they were together because I thought they were together in the previous two movies. Maybe they broke up. I don't know. But again, if they weren't together, then why didn't they do more with that? They could have had one of the characters in the quantum realm, kind of flirting with one of them, or, a kind of romantic interest. They could have done that with the daughter as well, given her a romantic interest. Again, something to make us care about these people in the quantum realm, and to, want to see what happens to them and care about what happens to them. They didn't do all of that. And I think my biggest issue with this movie, other than the fact that it just didn't look very good, it was kind of just boring looking overall, was that it just felt really inconsequential. I think I read somewhere like the idea behind this was like, oh, we're going to take Ant-Man, who's kind of a, maybe a B tier kind of character, and put him up against this huge threat. And like, it's going to be crazy because this is something the Avengers should be facing, not Ant-Man. And so, okay, that's fine. But like, to me, it just seemed very inconsequential. It just seemed like, oh, here we're going to introduce this villain, and then nothing's going to happen to change anything fundamentally at all, except now that villain's going to be coming back. So I guess that's my other question too. Is Jonathan Majors Kang just going to be the villain for the rest of for the next 5 or 10 movies or something? Could be interesting, I guess. He's a good actor and I like his performance, but don't you want to mix it up a little bit more? You got a lot of villains out there. So other than that, the movie was directed by Peyton Reed, who had done the first 2 Ant-Man movies. I think he also did Bring It On and some other stuff. And it was written by Jeff Loveness, who is mostly well-known for writing Rick and Morty. I believe he wrote the Vat of Acid episode, which he just won an Emmy for recently. That's a great episode. I thought, the twist at the end, the way they kind of tied it all together was really good. And so I was really hoping for some of that creativity here, and I really don't think that we got it. And in a lot of ways, this did feel like a Rick and Morty episode, just didn't feel like a very good Rick and Morty episode. It reminded me a lot of the episode where they go to I don't remember what it's called, but the goopy land or whatever that Beth was stuck in as a kid, and then finds out they were all like eating cannibals, incestuous cannibals and stuff, which is not a terrible episode actually, but it reminded me a little bit story-wise of that. And it reminded me of kind of some of the later Rick and Morty episodes that just are kind of this is the first Ant-Man movie not co-written by Paul Rudd. I didn't realize he apparently has a co-writing credit on the first 2. Didn't get one on this one, and maybe you should have. Maybe you should have let him write a little bit more, because again, I just do need to mention briefly, Evangeline Lilly is a complete idiot. She in real life is anti-vax and anti-science, and so much like the dumb girl from Black Panther, or maybe it sounds like Zach Levi, I have an issue with casting people as heroes who in real life are actually villains. She's a dumb, stupid, terrible person who I feel like, why is she still in this movie? I don't know, maybe that's me, but I feel like if I were Disney and I had an actor saying dumb shit like she's saying, I'd be like, well, get out of my movie then. We're going to recast you with, I don't know, Liv Tyler. There's a million people who look like her. It's not that hard. So yeah, that sucks. It's just, and again, I think her performance is actually really good in this. I was ready to hate her, but I think she's fine in this. But there's a couple moments where she like comes in to like save the day and like grab Scott as he's falling, or like blast Kang just as he's about to do it. And it's like, cool. Unfortunately for me, at least, that heroic action is undercut by the fact that in real life, she's a terrible, terrible person. Movie's got a $200 million budget. It's made about $420 million worldwide so far, so it's going to make money. It's going to be fine. Rotten Tomatoes on this one, a big difference between critics and audience. Critics are at 47%. Audience is at 83%. So yeah, I will say I didn't see this movie when it first came out. I was out of town, and I tried to avoid reading any reviews, but I did see some headlines that were basically saying that a movie wasn't getting very good reviews, and it was on Rotten Tomatoes at least lower than, or one of the lowest movies. And so, yeah, so I kind of went into this not exactly knowing what to expect, but I was surprised to learn that the audience seemed to like it. And when I first watched the movie, the beginning part, I'm like, hey, this is good. What are people talking about? And as the movie got going, I'm like, oh yeah, I can see this. This is not very good. So yeah. Oh yeah, there's some post-credit scenes in here. They don't really matter, and they just, Kang is gonna be the villain now. It's fine, it's whatever. I do like Jonathan Majors. I think his performance was good. I wasn't completely sold on the 3 different Kangs they had, because to me his performance wasn't diverse enough with those 3 characters. I know the one is like Immortus Kang, who's supposed to be normal Kang in the future or something, or this guy. I honestly don't know, but I think when you see this character and you're like, okay, you're gonna have the same guy playing multiple characters in multiple films, that could be really, as an actor, that's awesome. You get to do these different voices and these different accents and this kind of different way of moving your body and stuff like that. Kind of like how I can't remember her name, Tatiana Maslany did in Orphan Black. Cool, great. Honestly, I mean, even though I like his performance as Kang, when I had that scene, when I saw the scene with the three of them together, I didn't really feel like the characters were that well differentiated from each other. Now, maybe they're not supposed to be. I don't know. But just one thing I was maybe a little hesitant about. So yeah, other than that, I thought this movie was just okay, but kind of bland and pretty forgettable. But it looks like a lot of people are liking it, so maybe I'm wrong. This is the start of Phase 5, so that's something. But I will say, as someone who has kind of defended Marvel and kind of been on their side, even though I haven't loved the last couple movies, I've still been like, all right, I think this is the first time where I'm like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, maybe I can skip the next Marvel movie or wait till it comes out on Disney Plus, which they just raised the price of, those bastards. So I don't know. Maybe I should just cancel Disney Plus. But yeah, it wasn't that bad. It was fine. It's whatever. I think my score on this is going to be a 6 out of 10. I think it's fine. If you watched it on an airplane, I'm sure you'd be entertained. If you wait a couple months for Disney Plus, it's not the worst thing in the world. But is it worth, getting in your car, driving to the theater and paying money for? Maybe, if you really like Ant-Man, I guess. Anyway, my score is 6 out of 10. If you saw the movie, let me know what you thought of it down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a great night. I will see you here again next week.